Hello, welcome to Mailtrap Videos, where we explore the world of emails. Here's how to send emails with PHP. PHPMailer is perhaps the most popular email sending library for PHP. You can find all of its documentation on GitHub and the relevant link in the description of this video. To work with PHPMailer, you first need to install the Composer dependency manager and run this command. Okay, let's move to the coding part. In this case, I have already prepared the code after installing and running the Composer. So first, what you want to do is import the PHPMailer class from the PHPMailer/PHPMailer namespace, and include the Composer-generated autoload file via the require_once statement. Next, we can create a new PHPMailer object. And using the isSMTP method, specify that sending is done via an SMTP server. Now, configure the SMTP settings, such as the host, username, password, and port. In this example, we're using Mailtrap's email sending SMTP settings. You can grab Mailtrap SMTP credentials from the Sending Domains page after creating an account and registering a domain name. After that, just copy and paste all of the SMTP credentials. Additionally, set the encryption method for connecting to the SMTP. In our example, we listed TLS encryption. Now, set up the email content, including the sender's and recipient's email addresses. The name part for both sender and recipient is not mandatory, so skip this part if you wish. But do make sure to give the email a subject. Now we can move on to the body of the email. First, use the isHTML method to indicate that the email's body will include HTML. Now, paste your email content with the relevant HTML tags in the body property. You can also paste the same email content in the alt body property if the receiving email client doesn't support HTML. To add an attachment to the email, you'll have to indicate the relevant file path using the attachment path variable. In our example, it's a PDF file that is saved in the confirmation directory and named Your Booking. Now, using the add attachment method, attach that file to the email. Here, you can also give it a different name, which the recipient will see once the email is delivered. Finally, you can send the email using the send method. In case an error occurs while sending the email, PHPMailer will show the specific error message. If everything goes well, a message has been sent notification will be displayed. Okay, now go ahead and run the script. And we can see the success message here. Let's check the inbox. And there you go, the HTML body is there, and so is the attachment. Alright, now we'll take a look at how to use the Symfony mailer library to send emails with PHP. Again, the link to the library's documentation is in the description below. The first step is to install the package and its dependencies for Symfony Mailer. To do this, use the Composer, and once installed, run this command in your terminal. Now, with the use statements, specify Symfony's namespaces and classes that you'll need. In particular, they are Mailer, eSMTP Transport, and Email. Next, include the Composer-generated autoload file via the require_once statement. At this point, you need to create the eSMTP transport object and specify the host, port, and the encryption method. And of course, the username and password. Again, in our case, we're using Mailtrap email sending. Once you have your account registered and your domain name set up, you'll see your configurations on the domain names page. Let's copy-paste the host and port name. The encryption method, in this case, can be skipped, so leave it under false. Now paste your username and password. At this point, create a new instance of the mailer class with the transport object as a parameter. This will allow the mailer object to use the SMTP transport you just configured. Next, you'll need to create an instance of the email class with the email details, such as the sender, recipient, subject, both text and HTML email body versions. And the last step is to pass this email object as a parameter to the send method. Run the script and check your inbox. There you go, the email is there with all of the details as specified. Now let's go over sending emails using the PHP built-in mail function. But before we start, it's important to note that there are better options out there than the mail function, which has security limitations and occasionally can give you false delivery results. We'll still show you how to use it, and we'll also demonstrate why relying solely on it may not be the best approach. The function has 3 mandatory parameters and some non-mandatory parameters, such as headers, for example. Let's start with the mandatory parameters. The first one is going to be the receiver's email address. Next, we have the subject. And the third one is the body of the email itself. In our example, the body is an HTML code. This means that for email clients to display the email correctly, we need to add 2 additional headers, which are MIME version and content type. Also, let's not forget to add the from header and indicate the sender's address. Once you run the mail function, you'll either get a true result, meaning the email was sent successfully, or a false result, meaning there is an issue and the email hasn't been sent. Okay, now let's run the script. And we can see that there is a success message displayed. But it's important to note that despite the success message, it doesn't necessarily mean the email was delivered. There can be various reasons why this happens, and it's often difficult to figure out. Also, if you get a false result, it's hard to determine why, especially if you are just starting out with PHP. Some of the reasons you get a false message are simply wrong details written in the mandatory parameters, or the mail client configurations needing to be set correctly. As we mentioned, the PHP mail function is far from the best choice. A better option would be using PHPMailer, Symfony Mailer, or a third-party sending service. So let's have a look at how to send emails using the Mailtrap PHP client. The link to this GitHub page is in the video description below. You can install this package via Composer, and after that, connect it to your project. The Mailtrap API client is not hard-coupled to any specific library and uses the PSR18 client abstraction, which allows you to choose the HTTP client library you want. For the sake of the example, let's take Symfony HTTP client and connect it to our project together with the Mailtrap PHP package. Okay, now that everything is installed, let's try to send an email. In the documentation here, you'll find the code example for sending the email. For this case, let's use the first part of the code that has the credentials for email sending. The second part has our sandbox credentials. Okay, now copy and paste the code to your project. Let's also make some adjustments like removing the BCC, CC, and the embedded logo. Next, specify the sender's and receiver's email addresses. In this line here, there is a new instance of the email class that contains all the needed email parameters, just like in the previous examples. Here we have different ways to add custom headers, like the Xmessage source or the category for this email. But let's simplify our example and not use these. The last thing you need to do is specify your API token. It could be found in the API and SMTP tab from the Sending Domains page. You'll find the token hidden here with stars. Just copy the entire snippet and paste it into any text editor. From there, copy the actual token and paste it into the config class. That's it. Run the script and we can see the success message. Let's check our inbox. And there you go. The email is there. Just like that, you can start sending emails with PHP. We at Mailtrap hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video, brought to you by Mailtrap, an email delivery platform to test, send, and control your email infrastructure all in one place. Like and share this video, subscribe to our channel to see more tutorials like this one, and we'll see you in our next one.